Most people think that asset transfer is simply moving an asset from one company to another, but in reality, it's not. One company records receivables, another company records payables, asset moves across the legal entities. At business group level, nothing has changed. At the company level, balance sheets tells completely a different story. So what has changed? In this video, we will explore different scenarios in asset transfer and I will break down the accounting logic in step by step. When an asset is created, it is assigned to an employee, location, and a depreciation account. The process of changing employee or location or depreciation account associated with an asset without changing its cost or accumulated depreciation is called asset transfer. In asset transfer, we move asset from one location to another location, or one employee to another employee, or from one depreciation account to another depreciation account. Let us look at an use case. This use case has two scenarios. The first scenario talks about employee or location transfer. Second scenario talks about transfer between balancing segment values. Let us focus on first scenario. Let us take an asset with asset number 113026 and this is available at the location USA, Washington, Seattle, and it is not assigned to any employee. We will transfer this asset to a different location and we will associate with an employee. In the second scenario, the asset 113027. In the second scenario, the asset number 113027 is having the expense account 101.68160. We will change the expense account wherein we will update the company from 101 to 102. So this is going to be movement or transfer of the asset between the balancing segments or companies or legal entities. To transfer the asset to a different location and employee, go to fixed assets, click on the task list, click on transfer assets, query for the asset number, select the asset, click on transfer asset, make the new units field as 0, click on create icon, enter the new units as 1, enter the new employee and new location to which you want to transfer the asset. Note that depreciation account kept as is, click on submit, click on done. Similarly, to transfer the asset from one depreciation account to another depreciation account, go to the task list, click on transfer assets, query for the asset, click on transfer asset, make the number of new units to 0, click on create icon, enter the new units as 1 and select the new depreciation expense account, click on submit, click on done. Now we have executed the use case. We transferred one asset from its location and employee, and for another asset we made the transfer from one expense account to another expense account. Now let us submit the create accounting process. Go to task list, click on create accounting, select the book as US Corp, make it as S, click on submit. Wait for the process to get completed. The create accounting process has been completed. Now let us review the accounting results. One point to note that as for our use case in the scenario 1, we wanted to adjust only employee name and the location. But I have done even the depreciation expense account change also. Earlier it was 1.1 and I have moved it to 1.2. So we covered everything in the first fixed asset itself. So now let us look at the accounting for the asset transfer transaction. Click on the transactions, select the transfer accounting type, click on view accounting. Now let us analyze the create accounting results. We have moved the asset from company 101 to 102. Because of that, it has credited the cost account in 101 and it debited the cost account in 102. In other words, this accounting is opposite to asset addition accounting in 101 and equal to asset creation accounting in 102. And as this is between the companies, it has generated intercompany accounting as well. For company 101, this account is going to be receivables account and that is debited, and for company 102, this 29100 is a payable account and that got credited. Accumulated depreciation is the account where depreciation that has done till now that is stored, right? As we have moved the asset from 101 to 102, it has debited the accumulated depreciation in 101 and credited the accumulated depreciation in 102. Now the question arises why this intercompany is happening. To understand this, we need to understand basic rule of accounting. Whenever any transaction happens, it generates accounting. And according to the basic rules of accounting, the sum of debits and credits should be equal for a given company. If you see here, for the company 101, when this transaction happens, it credited the cost and it debited the accumulated depreciation. If you see, the credit is 550 whereas debit is 12. These two are not matching. As per basic rule of accounting, for the given transaction, the sum of debits and credits for the given company, that is 101, should match. To make this equal, we are introducing the intercompany for 101, where the amount will be difference between these two. This is one way of looking it from the accounting perspective. The another perspective is looking from the legal entity. Let us look at what are the legal entities for these companies. If you go to the navigation, assign balancing segment values to legal entities and look for US primary ledger. These are the legal entities that are available under US primary ledger. And if you see, 101 is under US 1 legal entity, whereas 102 is under US 2 legal entity. As this transaction of this transfer of asset is across the legal entities. So whenever a transaction is happening from US 1 to US 2 legal entity, the difference in the amount will be US 2 has to US 2 legal entity has to pay for US 1 legal entity. So US 1 records receivables and US 2 records payables in their accounts. And the next question that arises is from where these intercompany accounts are getting derived. If you see, for 101 we are recording the receivable and the account is 18100, and for 102 we are recording the payables and the account is 29100. The question is from where this getting derived. If you go back to here, the navigation is manage intercompany balancing rules, and this is here all the intercompany accounting accounts will be defined. Basically there will be different hierarchy. This will be from very granular level to next higher level. The first tabs we can define from the company to company transfer. This is from legal entity to legal entity. Next is from ledger level, and the next is chart of account level. So the granularity keeps decreasing from the each level. So if you look at legal entity level for US1 primary ledger, when we make a transaction from US1 legal entity to US2 legal entity, we have defined the receivable account as 18100 and payable account as 29100. Because of that, in our accounting, the receivable accounting is derived as 18100, payable account is derived as 29100. The next question that arises is what happens to these intercompany entries? We have recorded that company 101 needs to receive $537 from 102 and 102 has to pay $537 to 101. How these entries are settled? That is the next question we need to look at. There are three ways in which these intercompany entries are settled. Let us look at that. In the first option, these intercompany entries are settled through actual cash movement. For 101 needs to receive $537 and 102 needs to pay $537. In the first option, there will be AR invoice and AP invoice will be created, and these invoices are paid, and there will be an actual cash movement of $537. This is wrong, actually this should be $537 from 102 to 101, and this intercompany gets settled, and this happens at transaction level. The scope is at transaction level. For each transaction where there is intercompany involved, they will generate intercompany payables invoice and they will make the payment, and cash moves from one company or one entity to another entity. The second option is, instead of doing this for every transaction between two companies, let's say 101 and 102, on a periodic basis they will look at what is the amount receivables from another company, and the net amount they will make only pay of the net amount, and this will happen at company level. Let's say for 101 company, they will look at what is all the receivables, and instead of making that payments for a transaction level, at company level on a periodic basis they will make the payment and they will settle the intercompany entries. The third option is, instead of doing these actual payments or actual cash movement between the companies, if you look at the ERP hierarchy, all these companies are nothing but the legal entities and they all will be under the business group. These obligations, right, these payments and receivables between two companies are not from external parties. It's not payment that needs to be done to suppliers or a payment that needs to be received from the customers. This is within the business group. So instead of making the cash movement, what they will do at the time of consolidation, they will knock off the receivables and payables. They will make opposite entries for receivables, right? They will make the credit entry, and for payables they will make the debit entry, and they will settle the accounting entries, and there won't be actual cash movement transaction. That is the third option. That's how these intercompany entries are settled in the real time. Now let us look at accounting entries in detail. Here are the accounting entries for company 101. When we create an AP invoice for the asset, item expense or asset clearing account will be debited. It means it increases the value in that account, whereas liability or payables account will be credited. When we make a payment, then liability will be decreased, cash will be decreased. When we make the payment, these liabilities, they will knock off each other. Through mass additions program, we will create the assets in FA. When asset is created, the asset clearing account will be same as item expense or asset clearing account. So these two accounts will get knock off each other. It means after asset is created in FA, cash gets reduced and asset increases. Once that asset is created, then asset keeps depreciating on monthly basis. The depreciation expense will be increased and accumulated depreciation account will be credited. When we perform asset transfer, the accumulated depreciation account will be debited. So these two will knock off each other. And asset cost will be credited, whereas when asset is created, it was debited. And these two will knock off each other. Now, and there is a receivables. This is an intercompany entry that got created. When we transfer this asset to 102 company, their asset cost will be decreased, means the value of the asset in 102 increases. This is increase. Accumulated depreciation will be credited. Payables will increase. When we do the intercompany settlement, netting or elimination that we discussed earlier, then these receivables will get knock off. Payables will get knock off. So if you see finally what is remained in the entire process, the cash in 101 got reduced. Depreciation expense is there for the depreciation, and asset is moved to 102. Asset cost increased, and accumulated depreciation is also there in 102. And intercompany accounts got cancelled because of the intercompany settlement, netting or elimination. If you find this video helpful, leave your feedback in the comments. If you are serious about learning Oracle Fusion Finance, subscribe to the channel. Your likes and comments helps in sharing this knowledge to a wider audience who are interested to learn Oracle Fusion Finance. In the next video, we will discuss about asset revaluation. Thank you for watching.